Hi, welcome to Wealth, Wisdom, and Whatever, the podcast where we talk about money, insights, and just about anything we want to talk about. Today we have with us again and Siew, two certified financial planners with collectively over 40 years of. And we're going to talk about something that's always on our mind. How do we invest in property? So, the thing that I really want to talk about today, and we know that you buy a house, you rent it out. That's generally how people mostly invest in property, right? And if you're richer or you've got a company, you maybe buy an office building and you rent everything out, right? But there's another way of investing in properties. It's called the Real Estate Investment Trust, the REIT. Maybe for our listeners, I could get OyMoon to describe what a REIT is.
Okay, good. So you're right. Actually, REITs is one of the options to go into real estate investment. Basically, REIT is actually a fund or a trust that owns and manage income-producing real estate. So that means the REITs lease the space, collect the rent from the properties, and distribute the income as dividend to the investor.
So basically what you're saying is this type of investment buys a building and then manages it for you.
Yeah.
And any profits they make, they pay out to people.
Yes.
So
and most of the REITs companies are publicly traded in security exchange.
I see.
Which is our bursa lah, huh? Yeah. So where investor can buy and sell REITs through the trading session. So in Malaysia, actually, our first REIT listed in Bursa is called Siew Real Estate Investment Trust, which is Exit REIT, which is in the year of 2005.
So do you know which building they're managing?
Quite a number. They actually owns buildings more than 7 categories, including industrial, retail, commercial.
I see.
Their main focus is in the industrial.
I see, okay. So I think we should get into the kind of the meat of the topic. Property investment or REITs? What's the difference? What's the pros and cons of each? Maybe Siew, you want to get started? You want to lead us into this?
Okay, thanks Farhan for the question. REIT allows you to invest at your affordable investment amount. Let's just say I have only 1,000 ringgit. You can buy into a REIT already because they allow you to buy at that small little chunk, as compared to having to buy a property that requires you to have a big chunk of capital that you need to put in first.
You need to take the loan and then...
You need to take a loan. Then later on, you need to manage it on your own. So REIT is actually an easy way to buy properties without having to manage it.
I would say that is the entry point. Yeah, because to invest in the properties, for example, we invest into a condo, let's say is 500,000. So what is your first deposit that you need to pay? How much is that? 10%. So you need to have 50,000 as an entry point, and not talk about your stamp duty lah, whatever, all this thing you need to pay. So 50,000 is not even enough to start. But REITs, the entry point is as low as 1,000.
So it's just very easy to buy into these things. So this is an easy way, say, if I want to invest in, I think, Sunway has a REITs.
Yes, Sunway has a REITs, KLCC has a REITs, IGP.
If you step into Mid-Valley,
Oh, Mid-Valley as well?
Mid-Valley is a REIT.
I see, okay.
Yeah.
So we know that it's easy to get into, but what are the returns?
That's an interesting question. Actually, that's rules for all the REITs company, not only in Malaysia, it's throughout the world. The special attributes of REITs company is it's tax exempted income, provided with a condition. The only condition is 90% or more of its taxable income to be distributed to our investors, us as investors.
I see. So any income they get has to be distributed away to the investors.
Yeah, I mean 90%.
90%.
90% of the taxable income had to distribute to the investors. But on the other hand, let's say you invest into a condo and then you rent it out. The rental that you receive is taxable income. On top of this, by the time that you sell your properties, and that's another tax that we need to pay in Malaysia.
What is called real property gains tax.
I see.
Yeah, RPGT. That is also another difference between these two type of options. That's one of the main difference of having REITs and real estate investment.
Aside from this tax thing, what about the returns on REITs? What am I expecting, say, in terms of investment?
Based on our reading from the property investors report and everything, right, we actually see that investing in property and investing in REITs, they kind of like give almost the same return. If you look at properties that you're investing into, it can give you almost the same kind of return about there. But it also depends on the environment surrounding it at any one point of time, especially right now in the high interest rate environment. How do you maneuver having investment in REITs and also in property? So if you're actually buying properties, you are definitely leveraging. That means you're getting loan to actually buy the property, correct?
Yeah.
So if in an interest rate increase environment, you definitely will be paying more because it's costlier. Same goes to REITs as well. In a high interest rate environment, definitely REITs is also affected. Okay, because they also have these investment trust companies that is investing in all these REITs will have to manage how they leverage on the properties that they are buying. More often than not, these REITs actually, I would say, leverage in the sense that they actually buy into fixed loans. Like they get bonds and preferred securities to fund the purchase of their investment. So in high interest rate environment, they are kind of like protected as well. But the thing is that REITs, in this sense, definitely both will be affected, but it's how you can actually maneuver to mitigate the risk of property values dropping. What am I going to do? I can't collect my rental, in especially COVID times, that certain properties are affected.
Shopping malls.
Yeah. Nobody goes there.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen? So if you're actually invested in that kind of REIT, you'll be affected. But in any managed REITs that some fund managers are managing, in that sense, they are able to maneuver during this time where that, as just how Moon said, that all these REITs are listed in the stock exchange. So they can, how should I say, what's that word? Diversify, maneuver, and move towards the REITs that is really needed during the COVID time.
Yes,
especially diversification.
Diversification is another features that we have to look into when you do investment. So if you compare property investment and also REITs investment would be much more diversified compared to properties. If you have the same 500,000, for example,
I can buy one property, right?
You can only buy one property,
Yeah.
and that it depends on the location, the type of properties, and all over the competitors. You have to think about that. That also affected on your passive income. Let's say you really intend to rent it out, and your capital of that's 500,000 is there already. On the other, most of our REITs that we can purchase, we can invest in. In Malaysia, we have almost about 8 categories. You can have retail, you can have industry, office lot, hotel, hospital, or warehousing. That is one of the very interesting, especially after our COVID, the logistic hub, everything. Data centers in Malaysia, that's another trend that we may have a lot of data center investment moving
especially
forward.
since after Microsoft just promised big investment.
Exactly. So
Precisely.
all these are the diversification choices that you can have if you invest into REITs.
I see. So basically, I have more choices then. Instead of 500,000, maybe buys me a condo. Not even in Klang Valley anymore. This is probably Seremban already. Right? So then leads to my question: if I wanted to sell my share in a REIT, it's traded on the stock market. That also increases, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's essentially buying a stock.
A stock. Okay.
Which is very liquid. So anytime you say, I don't like this anymore, I want to move to that warehousing REIT. I love that. So you can actually unload and move on to another one. as opposed to you buying that 500,000 condo and you're fixed with that.
And hoping to sell it. Right?
Yeah, and hoping to sell it.
Actually, it's the same concept if we compare investment and property investment. In property investment, we will have rental and passive income,
Yep.
and we may have capital appreciation. Same to REITs investment. We can have capital appreciations, which is when the price of the REITs per unit is actually increased. And at the same time, we also will have our dividends payment. So it's similar like our rental payment. So both of these options will offer you the same kind of returns, which is the dividend or rental and the capital appreciation.
I see. Since REITs are so advantageous, it's really easy to get into, right? Why are they not more popular in Malaysia?
What I can think of is actually REITs are, especially REITs in Malaysia, is really very young. Just now I mentioned our first REITs started in 2005. So it's about 20 years now. When was the first REITs introduced in US? 1960s.
I see. So it's still very new here. People are
Yeah,
not very
people are
exposed.
at a very, very mature stage. We are like still the infant stage, kind of kindergarten, teenager stage. Yeah. So another reason that we can think of is actually then there are many other options available in the market. For example, properties. Every year we have almost 400 over 1,000 transactions for residential properties in Malaysia. And let's compare to the stock market. How many IPOs we have averagely 1 year? It's about 30 IPO every year. But you know how many REITs listed in Malaysia after these 20 years? It's 18.
18 only.
Yeah.
I see. So it's very competitive then to buy into a REIT.
Yeah, it's like you just have 18 REITs for a choice, but every year you have new IPOs for you to choose. So I would say it actually is because of many people, they don't know there's something called REITs. And even though they don't understand how exactly they works.
Which is why we have you guys here to talk about
Exactly.
it. This is something that I personally would like to know, because you want to invest, they say keep diversifying, right? And property is a great thing to diversify into. So, I don't have 500k to buy a condo in Seremban, and I don't think I want to buy a condo in Seremban. But a REIT could be attractive, especially to people who don't have as much to invest. I think like even to a regular retail investor, I got 1,000 ringgit is probably a good idea to get started in.
Yeah. In fact, if you really study into the opportunities of REITs, there's many other ways of getting REITs investments as well. You can go for those managed funds. They call it ETFs, which is REIT related, or you can go to unit trust funds, which is investing in REITs only. Okay. And see which country that they are actually investing into, which helps you to even diversify more.
So I don't necessarily have to invest in REITs in Malaysia then?
No, because investment products out there is for you to choose from. So you just need to know, what are they investing into? I like this. Let's just say I want data center related, or I like telecommunication related. These are the things that you know throughout during the difficult times, they're still being used.
So I think I've got one last question here, and I'm not sure if you're the right people to ask. There's a lot of talk about the property sector, that there's a bubble to burst, there's a lot of uncertainty at the moment. Would this affect the REITs as well?
Good question there, Farhan. Okay, but first thing, you need to understand what does the bubble mean. Or some people ask about, property overhang, apa tu, what's that? The thing is that property overhang is talking about excess supply of properties when compared to demand. So then there's a property overhang, there's no demand. So there you're stuck, right? Then there's also the other thing you talk about, real estate bubble or property bubble. Property bubble means the property values has been rising so high that suddenly
it's unsustainable.
They're unsustainable really, then it just bursts like that. Now for REITs to be affected, there's many considerations that we need to think about. What types of REITs are you investing into? Okay. Now for one example, residential REITs. can be condo, can be houses. I feel they are more affected by property overhang. When there's too much, then real estate REITs will be affected, right? But REITs allows you to diversify. You can unload and move on to another sector of REITs, like commercial REITs, industrial REITs, healthcare REITs, data center REITs, you know.
I would say, irregardless whether it's property investment or REITs investment in Malaysia, this industry is affected by multiple factors. Not only the type of REITs that you are investing in, our GDP growth, the economic conditions, the interest rate, the demand and supplies, all this will play a role. It's not a direct answer whether it's a bubble or not. It's a very complex and speculative kind of scenario, I would say that. We as an investor, we have to actually keeping an eye on all these factors. So we monitor the trends, then we can reduce the risk in our investment.
Okay, so thank you, OyMoon and Siew. That was a very eye-opening conversation we had.
Thank you for having us here today.
Thank you, Farhan.
I've learned quite a bit, and if you enjoy this kind of conversations, this kind of information, stay tuned for our next episode. Thanks everyone for watching, and thank you all for being here.
Bye.
Bye.